Welcome into Crystal Ball College Football. I'm your host, Grayson, and today we're talking about the losers from week one of college football. Sorry to make it sound so bad, but every week there are winners, there are losers, and today it's about the losers. So the first loser of the week is the Pac-12 in general. Now, I don't want to make this seem like there weren't some good performances in the Pac-12, and I'm looking at Oregon State, USC, really good performances. Stanford looked good. But I think in general, when you looked at the Pac-12 heading into the season, you saw USC, you saw Utah, you saw Oregon, and then maybe a little glimpse of UCLA. And those were kind of the four teams that I think most people would have projected to win the conference. One of those four. Utah and Oregon both lost. Oregon got completely blown out by Georgia. One of the least competitive games of the weekend between two Power 5 teams. And then Utah, on the other hand, lost a really close matchup to Florida. Now, I'm not saying that the Pac-12 can't make the college football playoff. Of course they can. If Utah wins out, they're probably going to make the college football playoff, but their margin for error is much slimmer. They're going to have to beat some teams pretty handedly. They're going to have to beat USC pretty badly, most likely twice. And they're just going to have to look really good throughout the year. And that's tough. Oregon, on the other hand, they probably, I'm not going to say they're eliminated, but to lose like that, I just think leaves a really bad taste in the selection committee's, mouth. Like, how do you put a team in the college football playoff who lost to a Georgia team that's probably going to be in there, and you could potentially get a rematch? Now, Oregon might look different at the end of the year, but I think in general, that's a really hard ask, I think, for the college football playoff selection committee. So in general, Pac-12's up in the air now, and Oregon State looks like a team that's going to beat some people, going to upset some people for sure, and that's going to be a problem as well. And so once again, the Pac-12's sitting there going, okay, so we lost two of our best teams, and now there's a bunch of teams that look very equal. How's this going to shake out? I don't think it's going to shake out very well for the conference in the long run, at least this year. Next loser, NC State. I mean, what was that? I don't know what they were trying to do, what they were trying to accomplish, but that offense just continues to shock me. It seems like they're completely wasting Devin Leary. They have not found a true identity on the offensive side that leads to any explosiveness. They weren't able to score in the red zone. They really struggled there twice. And then at the end of the game, they're giving up a drive to East Carolina to go win the game on a field goal. Luckily, they missed it. But in general, this was not a good performance by the Wolfpack, who have all these high expectations and, looking, kind of towards the future a little bit. I think NC State's still going to be really good. And they're probably going to be a team that plays a lot of close games. But in this first game, I just was shocked that they came out and looked so flat and just kind of looked like a team that was kind of in cruise control once they took a 21-7 lead. And you can't do that. You absolutely can't do that. And there's such high expectations for this team and for this program to take a big leap this year. And I don't know if they're going to get to that point now. I think they're looking more like a 10-2 team instead of a team that could run the table and win the ACC. I don't know if that's on the table anymore. I know it's 1 week, but that's a veteran team, so there shouldn't be a whole lot of hiccups or a whole lot of adjustments going into this year, but it seems like there are plenty after watching week one against East Carolina. Next up is the Iowa offense, and this has been a topic I know many people have talked about, but I just think they got to get brought up when you win a game with two safeties and a field goal to get to 7 points. They beat South Dakota State 7-3, but it did not look good at all, and it hasn't looked good for a while now. And because of that, you just look at this Iowa team, and their ceiling is capped. If they win 10 games, great, but you're not going to make the college football playoff winning games like that. You're probably not going to win the Big Ten winning games like that either when you have to run into an Ohio State or a Michigan and actually have to score. I don't trust Iowa to score on anyone. Now, the funny part is they're probably going to beat Iowa State this weekend, and Iowa State looked far better, but the problem is they've absolutely owned the Cyclones in recent years, and Iowa's kind of been one of those teams that goes through ups and downs, but for that game, they get up for it. So it wouldn't shock me if they win it, but offensively, my goodness, that was one that you just kind of throw in the trash can and say, let's forget about that and hopefully move forward towards next week and play a whole lot better. We'll see if they're able to. The final one is LSU. And LSU just looked completely lethargic to start the game against Florida State. Now, Florida State's a decent team, I think. I think Florida State might win, 7-8 games this year. I don't think that's a 10-win team. And that means that LSU is probably looking more like a 5-7 type team. If they get to 6-6, that'd be pretty good, but their schedule, really tough. I don't know what they're trying to do on the offensive side because their offensive line is not very good at all. Jaden Daniels was basically making up offense for half that game. And finally, on the last drive, he made up so much offense that it actually worked. He's just running around and throwing it up and making some plays. But in general, that's not going to work for a whole season. So you add that with Mason Smith being done for the year with a torn ACL after celebrating. Keyshawn Butte looks like a guy who might not be playing for LSU the rest of the year. And he's one of, if not the best receiver in all of college football. We'll see where he's going now. And Brian Kelly, first year, first game, that did not look good. That did not look like a product that I think he's happy with. And it looks like there might be a little bit of time for adjustments to be made. And it looks like this is going to be more of a project than I think LSU fans were hoping for. And I think just majority of college football fans were hoping for, as college football is always great when LSU is pretty good. So that's it. Those are my losers for the week. There were quite a few, and there will be more throughout the season, but in general, it's week 1. So hopefully these teams can rebound, find their way back into the good graces of college football. We'll see if that's possible, but thanks for listening. This has been Grayson.